Does Jair need surgery?
Well, we're still gathering opinions on that, and I know we're gonna try to avoid that at all costs.
Do you have an idea for how long he's going to be out?
I don't.
Out for this week, though.
Most likely. You guys just love to just try to pry every piece out of me.
You said you don't have an update on Wednesday.
We did. Yes, we did. Not to mention, if he's not playing, what does it matter, you know? This-
It's called the thing called preparation.
What do you know about Rasul Douglas?
Yeah, he's played a lot of games in this league. He started 11 games, I want to say, last year. Big physical corner. He's really tough. Yeah, no, he certainly looks the part, and it was good to see him out there today.
Matt, did you get your hopes up that Stephon Gilmore might be on your team?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on anybody else that's not in our locker room, so yeah, I don't have a lot to say about that.
When there's rumors like that flying around, obviously, then you guys brought in Mr. Douglas today. It seems like there's kind of an intent in adding veteran voices to that room. When you lose Jair to an injury, no matter how long that is, how important is it to get veteran voices in that room to help bring up some of those younger defensive backs?
Yeah, I think it's always great to have veterans, and certainly guys that have been out there and they put stuff on tape. So, but we have a lot of confidence in that room, in the leadership in that room, not only from Jerry and Ryan Downard, but from our players as well.
However long Jair is out, how does that change things for your defense? Because obviously we know his coverage ability, and you just put him on one side and take the field away. But how do you compensate when you don't have that?
Yeah, no, it's not easy. I mean, that guy's a premier corner in this league, but again, we've got other guys in that room that we feel really confident with, and hopefully we'll get Kevin King back this week. I know he's trending in the right direction, and then we've got a young player in Eric Stokes that seems to get better and better every day.
Is King still in the protocol, though, and has a few steps to clear yet?
Yeah, he's close.
What do you think about the second level of your defense, how the inside linebackers have played in general this year?
I think they've done a nice job. I think certainly it's gotten better as we've gone throughout the season. I think just learning a new system, the communication that goes along with that, just the details, getting that experience, those reps are so valuable, and so I think it's getting better.
Matt, what did you learn about Zach in that year that you spent with him in LA, and what have you thought of just the job he's done so far in Cincinnati?
Yeah, Zach Taylor's, he's first and foremost, he's a great person. He's a guy that I'll always root for, except for this week. But no, I have a lot of respect for him in terms of how he sees the game, his work ethic, his ability to communicate not only with the coaches but with the players. I thought he did an outstanding job for us in the 1 year that I was with him in LA, and it wasn't a shock to me that he got a head coaching job, and I think he's done a really nice job with his football team. You can see the growth, watching them this year. This is a really good group. I think probably one of the more under the radar teams out there. I think you watch them in every phase, man. They bring it in every phase, on every play. That's the one thing that just stands out to me, is just how physical and relentless they are. So it's going to be a great test for us, a great challenge going into their house, an early kickoff. And our guys got to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to prepare the right way. And it sounds like it might be a little bit warm down there, so we've got to make sure we do a good job of hydrating throughout the course of the week in order to play our best ball.
Matt, Zach said just the other day, he remembers the day when being with the family at Disneyland, gets a phone call from you saying, "I'm going to Tennessee." A little bit of a shock, like he was leaving me within a year. Did you guys get pretty close during that season?
Yeah, his office was right next to mine, and so there was a lot of interaction there, and we just would talk ball quite a bit. And, just developed a lot of, a great respect for him. And it's not a surprise to me that he became a head coach pretty quickly.
What is it about him that has kind of allowed him to fight through adversity those first couple of years in Cincinnati to the start they're having this year?
I just think he's a resilient guy. He's a guy that is going to keep his head down and keep battling and chopping each and every day and give it his all. And I think that has a resounding effect amongst probably his staff and the players. And I think anytime you see somebody that goes about their business in that way, you can't help but respect that. And they've done a nice job of bringing in some pieces on that football team that kind of emulate that same mentality.
How important is your messaging and your voice in light of the injury adversity your team is facing right now?
Well, I just think that we got a great group in there, first and foremost. We got a lot of depth. And so I think those guys take a lot of pride in going out there and making sure that no matter who's not in the lineup, that, we keep moving and we keep growing and getting better and better and better. And that's a credit to our players. It's a credit to our coaches of being able to get guys prepared. And hopefully we continue to, improve.
Hey Matt, based on how we started here, now I'm curious. So you're leave no stone unturned guy in your preparation. So if you're facing a team that has lost its number one corner for God knows how long, how does that influence you as a offensive guy? How do you approach that week then in preparing, whether don't know whether the guy's going to be ready? What does that do to your process if it was on the other foot?
Yeah, I think any time that you devise a game plan, you're always looking at the matchups, and certainly it does. It makes it easier if you know who is or is not going to be available for another team. So I think that's why a lot of the injury information is so, you try to keep it as close to the vest as possible until you have to give it up, because there's just so many hours involved in our preparation in terms of game planning and the scheme and whatnot, that sometimes there's guys that you absolutely 100% need to scheme around in terms of how you attack them. So, I think Ja's one of those guys.
Let's say Rob doesn't badger you the way he did. I would have badgered you instead, so it's not his fault. But if you don't give an answer and you say, I don't know, we'll see. How would you prepare them for that? You prepare as if that stud corner is playing? You prepare as if he's not?
Yeah, I think you always prepare for everybody's best, and then you make a contingency plan, or you alter your plan accordingly. I mean, because stuff happens in game all the time that you have to adjust on the fly.
Matt, you obviously have a lot of communication with Brian. Without naming any names of guys who are not here, how actively do you get a sense that you're looking to add to the top of your roster through any means that's out there?
I just think that's something that you're always going to keep an eye open for if you have an opportunity to potentially, better your football team. I think that's just in every discussion I've ever had since day one. That's always been the case here. So, and I think he does an outstanding job of making sure that our whole scouting department's very thorough in the evaluations and making sure that we're bringing in the right type of guy. But they do an outstanding job.
Burrow's kind of in a growing long line of young quarterbacks who are showing something awfully early. Why do you think that is, this new kind of group of young QBs is able to step in and produce right away?
I think there's so many factors that play into that. I think, first of all, every good quarterback needs to have some pieces around him in order to be successful. And I think when you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, and this is not taking anything away from Joe Burrow because he's a hell of a quarterback, and I think he's got a really bright future, and he continues to get better and better and better, and he can do it all, man. He can play in the pocket. He can create off schedule. If you're not disciplined in your rush lanes, he can escape and use his legs. He can check, like you saw versus Jacksonville at the end of the game. He sees cover zero. He checks to the receiver screen to the tight end out on the right side, and he just, Yeah, he's phenomenal, but I think he also has a lot of pieces around him. When you look at their receiving core, when you look at Mixon, the tight ends, I just think they've got a really good offense.
You know, against the Jaguars, I mean, this kid's rolling to the left and he's directing his tight end and flipping him to him in the fourth quarter. It's like, has he taken a huge jump even though he lost all that time from the injury?
Yeah, it's tough for me to say like a huge jump because I thought he did pretty damn good as a rookie. And it's not like I sat there and studied him really hard. But I just think every time I've ever watched any crossover tape with the Bengals, he definitely has flashed, and you see great plays all over the place. And I think just look at what happened to them last year. I think they started off on the right track, and then you lose your quarterback, and it can go south in a hurry. So I think that is a credit to him and just the type of player he is. I know I've had many conversations with Zach in terms of just this guy's mentality and demeanor, and I mean, he speaks the world of him. So I think that he definitely has a swag and a confidence about him. I think that plays well with the locker room, and I think he's a premier quarterback in this league.
Matt, what do you see from Cincinnati's defense? It's not a whole lot of big household names, but statistically they look like they're pretty solid.
Well, I think it all starts with Hendrickson and Hubbard off the edge. And, I mean, there's DJ Reader inside, Cam Sample. They've got a lot of guys that they cause some problems for you up front. They're tough to block. They're big. They're physical. But the thing that stands out more so than anything is just the relentless effort that they play with. They are running all over the place. It's a really sound defense. And those guys are out there balling, and they're executing at a high level. And, we're going to have to be on our A game on offense. I think they do a great job specifically, really in every down, but they're great against the run. And then when you look at third down, these guys will get up and challenge you. So it's going to be a great task for us, and we're going to have to be just firing on all cylinders in order to come out victorious.
Hey Matt, I know we asked a little bit about him on Monday, but Bojorquez looks like he's actually potentially a weapon for you guys. How much does that change the dynamic? Does it factor in even to some situations where you might consider going for it and you feel better about how he could pin the opponent, that kind of thing? What impact does he have?
Well, certainly every time we cross the 50, I want to go for it. That was a struggle last game when we punted from the 40. That just ate at my core. But anyways, he did a great job, man, and he made us right. I mean, anytime you pin the opposition down inside their 5-yard line, that was a hell of a punt. Ike did a heck of a job running down there. Malik did a heck of a job running down there. So, and then his ability to flip the field when you are backed up. Certainly, we never want to put him in that position. Our goal as an offense is a bare minimum when you are backed up is to get 2 first downs, and we didn't accomplish that. And but again, he bailed us out, and it wasn't just him; it was everybody on that punt team. But no, he has been spectacular. I think just when you look at the location of his punts, obviously the distance, the hang time to allow our gunners to get down there, I think it's been really, really good.
Let's go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
I know it's not the most fun topic in the world right now, and yeah, whatever, but with Jair Alexander, if he does have to have surgery, would that end his season?
Yeah, I'd say most likely.
All right, you guys good?
Can I ask one last one? Hey, Matt, how did Yosh do in this past game, and were you surprised they didn't put Watt over him?
They did a little bit. I mean, primarily Watt typically plays on the right-hand side, or our right-hand side. So, but no, there were a couple times where he lined up left. So, but I thought Yosh, he's done such an amazing job. We're really fortunate to have a guy that can come in there And you really, there's nothing that we really game plan around. Sometimes when you get in those situations, you're like, oh, we can't run a certain play. But, that hasn't been the case with him, especially in our run game. We've never felt threatened. Certainly, I think anytime you're going against great edge rushers, you want to help those tackles every now and again, and we did that, but we did that on both sides. Anytime you're going against these premier pass rushers, and we've got two more, I think, this week, in Hendrickson and Hubbard, that are just relentless rushers. And we went against Hendrickson last year in New Orleans, and he was a guy that I didn't know a whole lot about, but man, that guy is just, he is so sneaky good, because he's a little unassuming, but he just does not quit until he gets to the quarterback. And when you pause the tape, a lot of times he's either making the sack, he's getting a hit on the quarterback, or he's right there. So it's going to be another great task for Yosh this week.
Does Yosh's performance, will it force you guys to have a discussion when Elton comes back about how you play that?
Yeah, I think everybody, it's always a discussion, right? Just trying to get the best five out there, and like I always say, and so that's always the case each and every week. And but certainly, yeah, that's a good problem to have. The beauty of having to play some of these young guys is you've really seen a lot of growth, not only with Yosh, but Runyon and Myers and Royce I think, have gotten better each and every week. And I think it's been reflective in our ability to move the football, not only in the pass game, but in the run game. And so hopefully we can continue that upward trend. And I know those guys are working hard, and it is nice to have a veteran presence there with Billy. And but no, those guys have done an outstanding job. I think it starts with the leadership in that room from from some of our veteran players, but also mentioned his name a bunch, but Adam Senovich, Luke Buckus do such a great job with those guys.